and welcome to Breaking It All Down. I am Count Zero, and I'm going to do something a little different this episode. Rather than reviewing a work, or providing recommendations on a work, I'm going to do a little discussion about a franchise. I am recording this episode the weekend after Thanksgiving, which puts me several weeks before the release of Star Wars The Force Awakens. In honor of this, there's a bit of the franchise I want to talk about, and I'd like to do some speculations before The Force Awakens comes out. I'm going to do this as a sort of sealed envelope thing. Specifically, this episode is going to come out last week of December. By this point, I will have seen The Force Awakens. So, any speculation I make now will be done before I've seen the movie, and I can't change any of it. It'll be scheduled as a private video and that sort of thing. And so, if I'm right, then I'm right, and I look really smart. If I'm wrong forever, and the internet gets to kind of point and laugh at me for being an idiot. Either way, you win. So, I also mentioned that I am recording this also, not just, before, but, several weeks before. So, J.J. Abrams could put out a whole bunch of new information, the Monday after I record this episode, after I've recorded it, edited it, uploaded it, and that information could, make everything I'm talking about wrong. So, at which point again, I will not be making any changes to this video, so if it comes out and J.J. Abrams has directly contradicted this, December 1st, once again, I will look like an idiot for the internet, and that's okay. I've looked dumb before. I'm certain I will look dumb again in the future. You may argue I look dumb right now. So, out of the way, here's my sealed envelope. And I'm going to be discussing a plot point that it came out of the prequel trilogy. Yes, I know, the prequels are generally panned. They have some good points here and there, but there has a lot of not very good points. Specifically, I'm referring to the prophecy of the Chosen One who will bring balance to the Force. Or just the Chosen One, because that whole long thing is really long and convoluted, and it doesn't contract into a reasonably pronounceable acronym. So I want to discuss how the prophecy fits into the Star Wars films of both trilogies, and how it may relate to the new Star Wars trilogy. To avoid any copyright flags, I'm going to do this vlog style. I thought about doing this voiceover with still images, which worked for the Dune video, but I can't help but think this is something to be more rigorous about enforcing prior to the release of the new Star Wars movie, as opposed to the, live-action Dune film from the 70s, where nobody's, that into making sure people aren't using stills from the movie inappropriately or that sort of thing. Once my current copyright strike has been resolved, I'll go back to using clips again for videos and that sort of thing. But for now, we're going to be vlogging it. So let's get back to a quick statement of the prophecy. We don't get the exact text in the films, and if you read classic literature, stuff like Oedipus Rex, or even Macbeth, exact text of prophecies is a big deal, or can be a big deal. No man of living born may kill Macbeth, or no man of woman born may kill Macbeth. If you go with a loose interpretation, means, no one could kill Macbeth, but that doesn't account for C-section, for example, which is how Macduff is able to kill Macbeth. The gist is this. The Force is out of balance, and a Chosen One will come who is very sensitive to the power of the Force and will bring it into balance. It is implied that this person will be a virgins in the Force, basically a midichlorian-induced immaculate conception, but we don't get enough to say one way or another whether this person is whether the Chosen One will be a virgins. Now, in the prequel era, if you think about it, this is probably something the Jedi Order shouldn't be rushing towards. Putting aside the EU works that are no longer canon, the Jedi Order has been a bright, shining beacon of the light side of the Force for generations, and whatever state the Sith have been in the past, whether we go with the no longer canon EU interpretation of there have been various Sith empires over the generations that have risen and fallen and risen again and have waged war on the Republic, they are now a shadow, no pun intended, of their former selves, with only a small number, generally only 2, though a little more if you get technical about it, working the shadows to strike against the Jedi Order. By a little more, I mean occasional side apprentices taken by the apprentice Sith or by the master Sith as a replacement for the existing apprentice Sith, because the whole rule of two is designed to promote a massive amount of backstabbing among the members of the Sith. So what this means is, as far as the scales are concerned of light and dark side, the scales are heavily weighted in favor of the Jedi, which means in order for the balance to be restored, the Jedi are going to have to take a major fall. This brings us to Anakin, and one of the first 3 theories that I've seen for who the Chosen One is. The Anakin one, which is the one that the Jedi Order has and Qui-Gon Jinn has, is that the Jedi Order takes that fall through Anakin's actions. He is seduced by the dark side through Palpatine, he becomes a Sith, he helps Palpatine carry out Order 66 during the Clone Wars, and then later serving as a Jedi Hunter and Palpatine's general agent. During the reign of the Empire, while Vader and the Emperor had Force-sensitive agents working for them, their Jedi hunting Inquisitors, who we see during Rebels, which is still currently canon, they were never really full Dark Jedi. They're not fully trained in the ways of the Force in the same way that Anakin was even when he was a Padawan under Obi-Wan or anything like that. And because of the rule of 2, as I mentioned earlier, it's in the best interests of Vader and the Emperor not to train these Inquisitors too much right now, because these Inquisitors could just as easily become a new apprentice to Vader or to the Emperor, and so Vader doesn't want them trained too much. Emperor could kill him, or had the apprentice kill him and become Emperor's new apprentice. In the same way, Vader could make one of these Inquisitors his new apprentice and kill the Emperor. Thus, the number of actually fully trained Force users, light, dark, Jedi, Sith, in the galaxy are basically limited to Palpatine, Vader, and any Jedi who managed to evade Order 66. Arguably, any other members of Force-trained user Force user traditions like the Witches of the Thomir, that sort of thing. So you've got the Witches of the Thomir, who are kind of established in Clone Wars show, so they still exist, kind of. We have Palpatine, we have Vader, and we have, like, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda, Kanan Jarrus, other Jedi like that. So, for the Jedi, to kind of seal the deal on the prophecy, Vader kills the Emperor at the cost of his own life, thus killing 2 of the main inducted Sith, and eventually setting events in motion for the Empire's dissolution and downfall. And thus, the rise of a number of new Force-using traditions in the wake of this, as all of the organizations have been shaken up. Basically, Anakin flips the table, and everything has to be remade and reset in order for things to be working properly after the events of the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. There's also the second theory. Luke is the Chosen One. Anakin falls to the dark side, kills most of the Jedi, and does kill the Emperor, but the impetus for his redemption is his children, represented by Luke, who he directly confronts the most, since Vader doesn't know that Leia is his daughter and is Force-sensitive until basically like the very conclusion of the original trilogy. In the EU, which is no longer canon, this interpretation is kind of emphasized by how Luke rebuilds the Jedi Order, without any of the rigid traditions emphasized by the Jedi of the Old Republic, and in a little more of a pragmatic fashion. This particularly came up a bunch when the prequels started coming out, and the authors of the books set in the New Republic era would have Luke discovering the old rules of the Jedi Order about being against attachment and that sort of thing, and basically going, yeah, no, we're not going to do that, and using the redemption of Anakin as a reason for why not to do this. So, now putting aside the third possibility of what could happen here, that in the new trilogy, in the new era, for lack of a better term, J.J. Abrams just completely ignored the trilogy, never happened. What prophecy are you talking about? How is this going to come up? Well, we have a few hints. First, some of this relates to Luke's role in the new film. In interviews, Mark Hamill has said that most of his scenes have been shot separately from the main cast of the film, and the footage we've seen of Arc 2 and whom we presume is Luke lead me to suspect that Luke has been living in isolation since the events of the original trilogy and has not been rebuilding the Jedi Order. Combine that with Han Solo's dialogue about the Force and the stories being true leads me to suspect that in this new galaxy that there's a lot more skepticism about the Jedi and the Force and all sorts of stuff among the general population, which would fit to no new resurgent Jedi Order. If there were people out there who believed in the Jedi Order, who followed it and were Jedi and going around doing Jedi things, there would be a lot more awareness of the Force and awareness of the Jedi, and so you wouldn't have to be saying, oh, the stories are true. Everyone knows they're true. You don't have people telling legends of cops because there are cops around all the time. Then there's the Knights of Ren. Thus far in the new era, there's only one organized group of Force users, the Knights of Ren. They're not Jedi, they're not calling themselves Sith, at least from what we can tell in the promotional materials. That may change in the film themselves. This leads me to my theory. The Skywalker twins are the chosen ones. Not chosen one, chosen ones. This is one of the cases of the theories kind of falling short because they fail to count two twins or that sort of thing, and kind of plays into the whole idea of twins being two halves of the same person, which comes up in a lot of myth and legends, which also comes up a lot in Star Wars because, hey, hero with 1,000 faces and that sort of thing. Luke, either because he discovered the prophecy and decided that he needs to go into isolation to maintain the balance of the Force, or because he tried training another Jedi and that Jedi turned to the dark side, has gone into isolation. We may even have this Jedi that he trained and which fell be one of the founders of the Knights of Ren, if not the supreme leader of the group himself. Meanwhile, Leia, who has not been trained in the Jedi arts, has become a general in the armies of the Rebellion or New Republic, or whatever the heck they call it. When things go down in the films, Luke doesn't just encounter Finn and Rey, he also encounters the Knights of Ren. Well, with the fact that the scene we see with Luke involves a campfire, and we have the scene of Finn on a snowy, foresty planet, this kind of fits with that. And Luke basically comes to the decision, hey, no matter what my fears are of people I trained becoming Dark Jedi or needing to maintain the balance, I have to train people and rebuild the Jedi Order, or at least provide a new Force-using tradition to protect people. And this leads to Luke training Finn, possibly also training Leia, and if Rey turns out to be Force-sensitive, training her as well. And this way the balance is restored by basically providing a new alternative light form of Jedi tradition as opposed to the Sith or the Knights of Ren, and providing a different competing philosophy that's being more widely spread, and thus providing the balance where this new philosophy is more in keeping with the needs of society, so to speak, and thus more able to be widely adopted as opposed to the Sith philosophy, which not so much. Or the old Jedi philosophy, also not so much, due to it's hard to, form attachments and form a family when your philosophy forbids this. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Please feel free to post in the comments below, with whether you think I'm completely full of hooey, or if the movie holds up and shows that I was right, or if you think my theory is better than what happened in the movie. And share this video with others if this interests you. Also, feel free to support me via Patreon or through my tip jar if you enjoy the show. If you support at a higher level on my Patreon, you can get your name in the credits and also select topics for future episodes. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.